All right. Okay, so Lisa.
I'm just seeing if you're in there. You are.
It's not just my boobs.
Nope.
Okay.
How very pretty they are.
Okay, so we left off last week.
Yep, we did.
With, where did we leave off? There was a lot we went over in our last session, and a lot of it didn't get caught on tape.
Oh.
So, like, I know the second half, remember I was videotaping myself?
Yeah.
That didn't work well. It didn't even, I didn't save it.
No, that's fine. You know. Yeah, we went through a lot. And it was the whole, like...
What are you holding on for at this point?
Yeah, right. Kind of that. And I got a little bit clearer this week on that in itself, because I was like, all right. Because, okay, so the whole chip thing, which, you know, chips are a huge deal for me. And I bought a bag, and I was like going, okay, I'll have some of these with something.
We intended it to see if it had the same emotional power to it.
That did not work.
Okay, so tell me, let's talk about it.
But the first time.
Okay.
Okay, so I did it, and then I just grabbed the bag and I started eating them, and I was like, okay, what the hell? I mean, seriously.
Hold on. Let me backtrack a little bit, just so that people are aware.
Mm-hmm.
We left off last week with what's the point mentally going through if you got divorced, would you need food? If your child died, would you go to food? If you lost a job, if you have no money. We kind of went through all the big vulnerabilities, and the answer was, no, I don't think I'd need it.
No,
so then
I
it
don't
was,
think so.
Then we said, let's go get the chips of choice and see where you're at. Because it's not, like, we're not afraid at this point because you have nothing to lose.
Right.
Because if you're in the same place, then we find out.
Right.
There's benefit to knowing.
Yes.
So there's no judgment, right? And we knew that going into it. And so you're saying you went, you bought the chips of choice, you had your meal, and you just went, picked them up, thought, I'm going to eat the whole bag.
Yeah, and I didn't quite eat the whole bag, but I ate at least half the bag.
Improvement!
Yeah. I ate half the bag. And
before would you eat the whole bag?
Yeah. And then, because see, what I do is I eat like all the whole chips, and then all the crumbs I throw away, because I don't like those.
Wow, I start with crumbs.
No, I don't like those. My husband will eat those. I'm like, that's fine, you can eat those, I don't care. But don't eat my good chips. Don't. Mm-hmm. They're the good chips.
Got it. The quality chips.
The quality chips in the bag.
Even though they taste identical to broken chips. Isn't it funny how addiction works? You know, every addict has their own little, like, weird...
Yes. It's a little weird.
I only drink my scotch when I have it turned at this 90-degree angle, and then I pour it into my glass. You know what I mean?
Yes.
No difference.
Yes, I do know. It's like, so then I was really kind of annoyed at myself, because I was like going, really? I mean...
Before there had to have been dialogue in your head as you're going through the process, because you bought the chips. Did you make a plate full of food?
Yeah.
Did you put chips on your plate?
Yeah.
Did you sit down and eat the food on the plate? And then, did you start with the chips or finish with the chips?
I probably started with a chip, and then I ate food, and I had chips in between, and I don't think I probably ate all the chips before all the food was gone.
So did you even finish the rest of the food?
Yeah, because it wasn't very much, so it was...
Okay, so you were still hungry.
Yeah, I was like, well, you know, I can still eat this. That's fine. Because I was like, all right. And then I waited.
Okay, so you didn't just go into a binge frenzy.
No.
You literally waited.
I actually waited. And I waited. And then I was like, and then I waited. And then it was, I'm not kidding. I was like, going, and they're calling me, come and get me. Come and get me.
I wonder if the whole waiting part of it.
Oh my God, that drove me crazy.
That if you had just gotten up and done something totally different, instead of waiting to be hungry to eat it again.
Yeah, because that was kind of like that. And I was like, oh my God,
well,
this is driving me crazy.
But it makes sense if you think that way, why they became bigger and bigger and bigger, because you're focusing on them and thinking about them and focusing on them.
And when you ask, like, was there, even when I put the chips on my plate and I ate what I ate, which was fine. Like, it was no big deal to eat what I ate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I figured this out yesterday. I have this which I didn't even realize I was having this conversation in my head until yesterday. And I was like, I have this thing that, no, if I don't eat them, someone will get them. Someone will steal my food.
Where does that come from? Because that had to have happened.
When I was little.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. They will come and take it, and I will...
That was your cookies.
Yes.
That was the grandma's cookies.
It was the cookies, and I was like, that's what that is.
And no longer
I was like going, oh.
Okay. That's huge, Lisa.
So I actually, I got another bag of chips. Actually, I bought two. And I put them. I actually put them in their own little separate bowl. I was like, okay, there's my chips, my pretty, lovely, yummy chips in its own special bowl, because I love them so much. Sorry.
You're okay.
And I thought, yep, that's perfect.
Lisa,
And then that's all I ate. And there's a chip clip on the top of the fridge with the rest of the chips, and I never heard another freaking word.
Oh my God, Lisa! So are you truly addicted, or are you living a past experience?
I was living a past experience. I mean, seriously, honest to God, I was like going, I think someone's going to come and steal all my food.
Oh my God. Do you see what happens when you actually process and you try to figure it out, you observe it, and you don't judge? Because if you'd been judging this whole time, you never would have processed any of it.
It was so funny, because I was like going,
oh my God, Lisa.
That was it.
Hey, I'm looking for someone to work with me. Now that you get it, you can help other people with this, sweetheart. Just so you know.
Yeah, and you know what came up in my head right then? Well, I'm not skinny.
Where are my chips?
I'm not skinny enough to help somebody.
Do you understand how much people don't trust me?
Oh.
When you first saw me, you're like, what is this skinny bitch know?
That's exactly so it. It's like, she doesn't know freaking anything, because she's already
never had a weight problem. How does she know? Well, maybe it's not a weight.
She don't know shit.
It's not a weight
It isn't.
problem. It's a psychological problem.
It's not a weight problem.
Say it again. Say it again.
It is not a weight problem.
So should you use weight for motivation?
No.
I'm going to go through the list. Should you even monitor your weight?
No.
Should you even care what your weight is?
Nope.
Thank you. Oh my God.
You should not.
I'm going to cry.
I wouldn't say that people won't care about their weight. I care about it. I care that it's not healthy for me.
Yeah, but
that's what I care about.
But the solution had nothing to do with your weight.
It totally has nothing to do with my weight. It has nothing. This is my overweightness is a symptom of the crap and addiction and the crap.
Hallelujah.
The crap.
Hallelujah.
That's what it is. So there you go. Seriously, yesterday was like a miracle day. I was like,
oh my God.
No one's going to steal my food.
So you don't have to get rid of it immediately?
No, I don't have
honey.
to just shove it in my face and eat it all, because I think someone's going to come and take it.
You know what we've done is, well, what you've done, because I've done nothing. I've done nothing here besides...
We just sit here and listen
all
to
I
me.
do is help you process, and
Yes.
you are processing now on your own. You don't even need me anymore, Lisa. Did you get that?
Yeah.
What's the use for me? Because you now know what to do.
There is a use. It's an accountability thing.
No, you don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
for reals.
What
You did yesterday is essentially what we've been doing once a week. It's let's look at it. What is the feeling? How do you do it? What's the cause? Where does this come from? What does this mimic? When did you feel this last? I mean, that's basically just what you did yesterday, and in a nutshell, literally took an addiction and went poof.
Yeah.
It's
like,
gone.
I don't need that anymore.
Mm-mm.
And
you proved it to yourself. That's the great thing is once you have the moment, you're like, did you not want to get up off your butt right there? Yep. Go get some chips, sit down, and then prove it to yourself.
And I was like, well, let's have some then.
If you take that reaction away, all of a sudden, those chips have no power.
Right.
Outside of hormonal response physically.
Right. And I was just like, I was like shocked. I actually was shocked by that. I was like,
and excited. Did you not get excited?
And I was like, well, let's see if this works now. Okay. So I was just like, wow, that's all I ate. That's
Is there anything left?
Unbelievable.
Is there anything left now that you think about it? Any vulnerabilities? I mean, anything where you're like, ooh, I don't know if I can handle that. You've done vacation, you've done family, you've done...
I don't know that there's anything as far as thinking I can't handle it now.
Okay,
no,
so I guess at this point, basically you have about 3 weeks to just listen to hunger, eat what the hell you want.
Yep.
Anything, no ramifications. There's nothing.
Right.
You are to eat whatever you want with the hunger scale. Basically, what I have people do when they practice before they start, and we'll start another round for you.
Okay. Yeah, because that would be awesome to start another round. Because I was like, because I actually feel like I want to start one now. I want to do it now.
I crapped my pants just now. I'm gonna crap my pants in happiness.
So it is. I was like going, oh. I was talking to a friend of mine when I kind of got it. I was like,
oh
wait a minute. That's my thing. That's my deal with the food.
When did that start, that eating? Because if you don't eat it now,
it's gonna be gone. I was little. I was 7 years old.
That's like hoarding.
Oh yes, and that is what I do.
Do you still hoard?
No, everything's. Well, I did but when I started this, I no longer just put things in my like stashy area that I have.
Got it.
I will set things next to my chair, but it's out in the open. That was the one thing I was like going, no, I'm not hiding this anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I don't. It's just like, no, if you want to know what I'm eating, it's either in the kitchen or it's right here on this table. That's ta-da! So I don't do that.
You have no idea how I feel. Yeah. I don't even know how to explain it, Lisa, besides like, it is not rocket science!
Yeah. Well, and I was judging it all last week up until yesterday. I'm not joking. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
You get to the point where you wanted to figure out why.
I did. And just the fact that I was actually talking to one of my friends who I hadn't spoken to in a few months. And her and I have gone through a lot of stuff together. And I was like, I just started talking, and she goes, well, how is that going for you?
Is that the friend you used to shop with?
No.
No,
she's actually done, I used to work with her, and then she's done a lot of my classes and stuff.
Fun.
So, and I was like, well, I don't really understand, like, the whole, why I think, I get food, there's always food. Like, I get that in my head.
It's not like it's going away anytime soon. Well, you made the connection that you were eating as if you might not get it again.
Right. And I was like,
that is common.
And then her and I were talking, and she, we've talked for 10 years now, so she knows like my background and especially in my diet stuff. And she goes, well, what about when you were little? And I'm like, yeah. And I go, oh yeah, because
you used to.
I wanted to have it for myself.
Mhm. When you look at the big picture here, your reaction to food makes a lot of sense on many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
And, do you not have way more compassion?
Oh, yeah.
For yourself and your relationship with food and how you've reacted to certain situations?
It was like a breath of fresh air, And the fact was...
understand it.
And I understand now why I kept it a secret. Like, why, the food was a secret.
That's right, because if someone else found out,
somebody
they'd take it.
Right. And I was like, oh, that's what that is. Because I was like, why do I care whether or not someone sees what I'm eating? What
they don't care.
With that? Right.
No one cares.
I was like, no. Right.
Unless they're hoarding food.
Like, really, nobody.
Then unless everybody around you is hoarding food to compensate for famine.
Yeah, which really.
Because we're in famine here in this country.
Yes, exactly.
Well, you know what? If you look at our American culture, when did the gluttony begin? And I would, I think there's in human history, there's been times of gluttony and mostly famine. But I would not doubt the most gluttonous period is right after famine, which would have been the Depression.
Oh, right.
And the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
You know, all of a sudden, people were, eat your food. You know,
Yes.
the way that the grandparents taught the parents.
Yeah, don't waste anything that's
Eat
on
the
your plate.
whole thing. And so,
eat the whole thing.
Yes.
But it's gross.
Well, now we have food for fun. Now we're going to eat it for fun because
Yeah.
we have it, and it becomes like a luxury.
Yeah.
And so we yearn for it. And now it's like, it's no longer a luxury. I mean,
No.
we're prostituting food everywhere,
Yeah.
anyhow we want.
Well, even when they first, I remember when McDonald's came in over by our house,
Mhm.
and we would beg our parents, can we go to McDonald's? And that was a big deal if we got to go to McDonald's.
Yeah, so it became
Because that's
something.
five kids and 2 parents at McDonald's. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like, that's expensive, and
Oh, yeah.
and I was just like, but and then it was so good, that
Oh,
that
yeah.
fast
the salt
food,
and the
yeah.
fat. Oh, I know.
And I was like, yeah, see, I remember that.
Processed American cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know it. On the drive. When I was pregnant, I did crave McDonald's.
Did you?
Totally.
Oh,
I got the
not
kids'
me.
meal when I was pregnant. I'd be like, oh, this kid's meal, there's something about it. And as soon as I had my children, I'd be like, that's disgusting.
That's girls.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally agree. I get it because I grew up number 9 of 10. And it makes sense why I eat so quickly.
Mm.
And also when I did have my kind of binge eating disorder, why I went to the specific foods I did, because those were the foods that every time I'd go with my mom, we had like gas station pastries.
Sure.
Why I would crave gas station pastries.
Yeah.
It's because they were emotionalized as something I couldn't have.
Yes.
And because I wanted them. It's almost like if my mom had just bought me 1 or 2, I probably never would have binged on gas station pastries as an adult.
Exactly.
Because you kind of relive, it's like Christmas,
Mhm.
it's like...
Well, and the fact is, like with the cookies, see, I don't make the cookies. I don't ever make them. So I substituted the chips because I do like the salty stuff rather than the sugary stuff anyway.
Mhm.
So I was like going, well, it's the same thing. It's a white piece of thing I'm sticking in my mouth because that's what those cookies were. They're just sugar
White,
cookies, white
yeah.
something.
that your grandma would make.
Yes. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course that's what I did. And my mother never bought those.
Yes.
Lay's potato chips have been around forever. And she always bought those Old Dutch with the double bags in the box. Those are gross.
Got it. Because you got them all the time. That's why they were gross.
Yeah, I was like, well, these are icky.
Someone out there is addicted to those Dutch double.
Ugh.
You need to be more sensitive to my
I'm
lips.
sorry.
I'm totally
I'm
kidding.
so sorry.
I'm totally kidding. It's so funny how much
need
people
you.
seriously complain about me and what I say. I have to be cognizant of every 1% of the population when I'm in here. Even people that don't have emotional eating problems, I have to, accommodate to them too and everything I say.
Oh,
But anyhow, digressing. But anywho, Lisa.
But yeah, yay. Really, yay.
Huge.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And it really was like a kind of a weight that was lifted. I was like, well, that's weird.
Well, because it makes sense. And now
It
you
does.
actually understand the behavior, which makes it so that you don't really need it anymore. And that's the other part. You consciously are aware of there is no need.
Right.
Even though physically your brain and your body were reacting as if you were about to never have a chip again,
Exactly.
you intellectually realize that's not true.
That is so not true.
I know. So just by having the awareness of
Yes.
it, you're less likely to... You will get the impulse probably again, even though you proved it wrong.
I'm sure I will.
And you'll go,
yeah.
put them back. I can have them again if I'm hungry again in an hour or so.
Right. What's so funny to me is that those chips are still sitting there.
Yeah, you haven't really wanted them yet, have
No.
you? And then when you do want them, guess what? You can go get them.
Yeah.
And they don't have so much power.
It's such a weird thing because I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Well, this is what happens when you give up that power is all of a sudden you really don't necessarily want them as much as you did before.
Right, exactly.
Because it was an emotional decision.
Yeah, I guess I don't really want them.
As often.
Yeah, like I think I wanted them.
I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it really ends up balancing out. You should feel way more balanced.
Yeah, I think I do. I feel, this week, though, I was like going, oh, one night, though, I I totally ate stuff that I was like, why am I sitting here eating all of this? And I knew I was doing it. And I just, like, we had chili. I love chili. Chili's yummy.
Me too. I love it.
And I knew when I was eating it, I'm like, I don't need to eat all of this. Because, like, I was getting full.
Yeah.
And I just kept eating it. And I thought, yeah, because that'll be gone.
Same thing.
Okay. All right.
You just need to be there's always dialogue.
Okay.
There's always a dialogue in your head, even though there's usually an excuse for some reason, or there's a feeling.
Yeah.
And then you excuse it, and you may have totally just forgot what the feeling was, but you're still eating. And you just have to slow the process down.
Yeah. Which, really, that has taken me this long to even get to slow the process down. I'm not kidding. That is not an overnight thing.
No, it's not.
it's like that does not happen overnight, and I get that I have still done it, and then went, oh yeah, wait a minute.
Did you stop?
Yeah, I did that.
See, you're making huge improvements.
Yeah. So, because it's like, I have to stop eating.
It takes practice. Crap. And what'll happen? What do you think's going to happen in your next round of the protocol?
Oh, yeah. I think it'll
usually
be
nips in the butt. Well, it's going to be compared to this first round.
Yeah, I know, because I was just everything was so frustrating. That's I was like, I'm just frustrated with this, and I felt like this all the time, like my shoulders up in my ears, and like I'm frustrated, and this doesn't work right, and I'm like, well, it does work right. Just
it was cramping your style.
Yeah, it was getting in my way. Like,
isn't that the truth?
And it really did. It got in the way, and I then had to deal with my crap.
Yeah.
Well,
and we weren't weighing, didn't make weight a part of it, so it was really forced. We were essentially forcing you.
I tell you, that is a huge deal, because if you're not concentrating on what the number says on the scale,
why would you do it?
Right. It's like, okay. And even when I signed up, like I knew when I signed up, I was like going, okay, well, this is going to be different, and I can tell this already, but I'm not exactly sure how. And then the whole not getting on the scale every week and not worrying about really what that says was like, what?
Well,
how am I going to know?
Well, exactly. How do I measure my motivation?
Yeah. And
I know,
it's like,
so
no, I don't.
Elementary.
Just the fact that yesterday I got what I got is motivation. Like right there.
It's because there's hope.
Oh, yay. It was amazing. I was like, well, that's more motivation than I've known doing any diet thing. Any diet thing. It's like, yay. So there.
I don't know. I have a loss for words. But I've seen this before. I've seen it when the light bulb clicks, and it's like, it just takes desire.
Yeah.
You really were, I think you were at a vulnerable place. When you came in here, you had no idea.
None. Zero.
You thought it was a diet.
Yeah, I did.
I know.
I mean, and
I get in here and I start waving my finger.
Yeah. And of course, like, it's like, well, yeah, it's a diet, okay. And to describe it to somebody, you kind of have to say diet, but it's not. And then, like, now I'm like going, no, that I'm not on a diet. Not on a diet.
Well, because the goal is that this is what you're going to do forever.
Yeah. I go, I'm not dieting ever again in my whole life, ever. Ever.
How's that feel to say that?
Oh, I love that.
I know, it's so liberating.
It's like, ever.
I know, and the bonus is that if you end up being healthier, isn't that just like the cat's meow?
Yeah, it's just, that's the, proverbial frosting on the cake right there.
It is. I know.
Right there.
There's no trying.
No.
It just happens.
Right. It just happens.
That's because we're actually letting the body heal.
Yes.
Your body actually had nothing wrong with it.
Right. Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And neither did the food you ate.
Exactly. See, and so often, any freaking diet, there is bad food, bad.
Sin. Guilt.
This is all bad for you. Okay. and I was like going, well, we're vilifying food.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, but there's some of that food that I actually like to eat.
And you're supposed to have guilt every time you eat it.
Yes. And it was
and
like
then you're to abstain from it.
horrible.
Abstain.
Yeah, which, okay.
Never really worked.
I don't care what people say. I'm not good at abstaining pretty much anything. It's like, if I want to have something, I want to have it.
Correct. No.
Period.
Well, we live in gluttony, and it's anywhere, anyhow, and in any way you want it.
Yes.
So if you eat, no matter how you're entitled to it, the question is, if it's available at any time, anyhow, anywhere you want it.
Yep. Which it is.
What are you compensating for?
Right.
And now you don't have anything to compensate for.
Right.
Because you were aware that it was from something that was not, it's not occurring.
No.
So the compensatory action is still not occurring, therefore it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't occur, and it's like, oh, that's right. I was like thinking, so, actually my husband made the chili, and because I said, here, make this turkey, ground up, make the chili for me, because I was leaving. He's like, okay, so he did that. And see, if I went in my cupboard, that we use Bear Creek chili in a pouch, there's another one in the cupboard.
Yes, you can have more later. I know.
It's like, if I want more chili, I guess I can just make more chili. Hello.
Simple.
It's in the chip thing. See, like I was at Target Saturday, and I got some groceries and stuff. Nothing, no big deal. Because the grocery store, I hadn't really gone shopping too much. Mm-hmm. But I'm in there, and I'm just getting stuff that, like I didn't overdo the groceries. I didn't.
Mm-hmm. No different than you would have before we started, right? I mean, basically, you're shopping for staple foods.
Right. It's just, now, although, like, depending upon, like, I would have thought, oh, maybe I deserve a treat this week, and let's go see what I can find. Well, I don't do that anymore. If I want to have something, I'll have it.
Yep, it's always there. So there's no, like...
So there was no reward. Mm-hmm. It's like, I guess if I want to have something, I'll have it. It's not a reward.
No, and wouldn't you agree that it isn't a reward?
No.
It's just, we should just have gratitude.
Yeah.
The fact that we have food is amazing.
Oh.
And we're not starving. But...
Exactly.
The act of having it is huge.
Yeah.
I know. We've totally lost touch with reality.
Yes, and I was like going, well, why
read
do
the Hunger Games. That'll tell you.
Oh, really?
You're really fortunate.
Yes, and I believe that. I really do believe we're very fortunate. I'm fortunate I can walk around Target and put stuff in my cart.
I know. It's true.
And not think about how much it costs even. Like, I don't hardly think about it.
Yeah, have you ever in the past had to have to think about it?
I did when I was first, like, divorced.
Yeah, where you're like, ooh, type of toilet paper.
Oh, wait. Let's get the cheap stuff. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Dylan's sitting in the cart, oh, I just love my widow Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
And
the stress, financial stress.
But let me tell you, I'd always spend 99 cents on a Hot Wheel if you wanted one.
Yeah.
Just like...
We have no idea. But even if it was all taken from you at this point... the fact that you're going, God, I'm so grateful just to have my legs.
Yeah.
The fact that I can walk.
Yeah.
I think when you really let go of a lot of shit, even if you still have it, or still can get it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have famine to have gratitude.
Right.
That's why I tell people, you don't have to die to start over.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, okay. I'm grateful that if I really do want to have those chips, I can get them and have them. Mm-hmm. I am. It's like, because...
Freedom.
Yeah. And if I wanted to have something, if I want to go and get a steak, for God's sake, I can buy a steak and have that. Mm-hmm. I can do that.
That's pretty awesome.
It is.
I know. And so why would you need to entitle yourself above and beyond?
Right.
But the other thing too is, is the fact that when you've kind of detached emotionally from food, when you do think of what you want, you really do listen to the body and its cravings. There's like days where I'm like, God, I love dark chocolate. I don't have to have it. And I only really have it when I have a craving.
Oh, well, sure.
I just wait for, like, what do I feel like? What do I want? And because I want the food And that's something I've been teaching. It's like when you eat, it needs to be rewarding.
Yes.
So you're aware more of what would be the most rewarding.
What would be really good.
So you're listening to the palate.
Yeah.
Not just your head and the mind games that you're playing with bad food.
Right.
You know?
It was like this morning I got like just, I like to be convenient a lot of times with my food. So I got these little Smart Ones things because they actually taste good and they're convenient for me. And so I wasn't going to work quite at 9 o'clock and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, oh yeah, I'm getting hungry right now. Oh yeah, I have one of those things. The egg sandwich, you know. I was like, oh, I can just have one of those.
Yes.
And it was good. Like for me, it was perfect to have. It was small, and I was like,
you didn't get full.
I didn't get full.